Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? How are we doing? How are we doing? Crazy day today. Crazy day today. How are we feeling about it? I'm not really sure how I'm feeling about it. Maybe you guys can give me some feedback. What are you thinking? We called this thing, what do we call this thing? Semis sounding the alarm. Why did we call it semis sounding the alarm? Well, this is why. AMD. What do we got? We got new lows. What's up, Sound Trading Psychology? Thank you for being here. How are you doing today? What are you trading today? Do you want to talk about it? What's up, Madhukar? I know that name. What's up, BNZNB? SPX puts. Nevin, what's up, man? How are you? Everybody on SPX? All right. We don't have live futures on the platform just yet. Those are coming. I cannot wait for those. Madhukar, you're trading AMD. Nice. Okay. Played NVDA puts. What's up, RJ? Yeah, so NVDA was the other one that we were referring to with the semis. It's kind of interesting. Semis leading lower. NVDA a little bit stronger than AMD, clearly. Holding the lows. Made a new low. You can see it right here. But holding for now. For now. Let's check out AMD again. Yeah, see, this is ugly. This is real ugly. They never even gave it a chance to come back up into that gap, did they? Let's see, Sound Trading. Just been reloading around 381, selling around COVID low. Right? You're talking about SPY? MU earnings tomorrow. That's tricky, man. I never play earnings. Right. Correct. Right. Michael, what's up? Let's see. Let's talk about it. What have we done? What'd they do? So they came back, they filled this little gap, and they've held it, right? I mean, so it's tricky because we're just stuck here in this little range. We are continuously making lower highs, right? Lower high, oops, lower high. Well, this was technically a higher high in comparison to here, but since we made this high yesterday, since the open yesterday, essentially, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. But higher lows. So we really got to look for a break, don't we? We got to look for a break out of that range. So, you know, kind of, we got to get out of this in one direction or another. 383 you were asking about? I don't know. Nothing's saying we're going to get there yet. Now, if they can break these highs, if they can break earlier highs here. You do have This level, I mean, they haven't really tested this. They tried to a bunch, but they failed it every time. They did test this. They haven't tested this up here. 380, 387, 6. I don't know, Michael. I mean, Anthony, rather. Anthony. I would look for a break above. I mean, we got to get above today's highs. That's what you have to do. I mean, and I know that's common sense, but this is SPY Toner. Thanks for being here, by the way. You could see the ticker right here in top left. But we really got to get above. We need to be making new daily highs for it to have any chance at 383. Omar, resolution's bad? You know, I was having some issues with my upload speed. We were kind of testing it. We were testing it before the stream started, and I was having issues with upload stream. So if resolution is bad, I sincerely apologize. But unfortunately, it was not something that I could get resolved beforehand. All right, let's see. Let's look at Meta first. You know, actually, hold on. We got B and Z and B. Talking about BA and BABA. I noticed top of my watch list, my personal watch list, was JetBlue, which is kind of interesting. BA. Let's see what's going on with BA here. BA is a tough one to trade, man. I've tried to trade this so many times, and I just don't do well trading it. But let's see. Recent highs. Anchor VWAP off recent highs. And we're starting to see a little bit of a change in trend here, right? What's the change in trend? Well, we're closing above. We're managing to close above this anchored VWAP where we haven't been able to. We did make a new high, so that's kind of interesting. If we move this anchored VWAP, what are we doing now? Well, we are testing. We're back testing kind of where we gained, about there. You've got this gap down here, and you did make a new low. So we've just kind of got, like the Stratters would talk about, kind of this like bullhorn range thing going on. You make a new high, we come back, and we probably, I mean, you know, who knows for sure, but we probably got to go back and test down here because we're not making a new high relative to this and failing here. Baba. All the China names getting hit today, right? Yep. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know how long this lasts. A lot of smart people talking about China bottoming ahead of the US because their rates they're not doing the same stuff with rates that we're doing. Not a surprise to see it get rejected here, right? It's kind of come into this area a bunch since the lows. You got the gap and go that everybody's been talking about. We pulled back, we filled it, and we're consolidating. I mean, this thing is just consolidating, super nice. So pending we don't get like news out of China that they're going to delist ADRs, because folks were talking about that. Pending you don't get that news, maybe that was just news. Maybe that was just used to get prices way down so that institutions could load. Clearly, that might be what they're doing. So what do you got? You got the 200 SMA. This is the 200 on the daily, just above. You really got to gain this area that we've been failing, right? We need to get, price needs to get above it. So kind of my thought on it would be like, it's hard to go long here because you're at a tricky spot. You're at resistance, basically. But my thought would be like, if we're able to gain some sort of pullback and then go, and you'd be looking to buy somewhere in here if we extend and then pull back. It's kind of where my head would be at. Sound trading psychology. I mean, the idea about China bottoming first is simply that they're not raising rates, right? So the bottoms on the China names all kind of look like this. Whereas if you go to just our major indices, these don't look like as well formulated bottoms. Let's see. Omar, is it getting any better? Just out of curiosity. The resolution, I mean. Meta. Madukar was talking about Meta. Let's look at Meta. Have a couple of friends who were trading this. So what did we do on Meta? Actually, let's go to like a slightly bigger time frame here. Fill the gap below. Almost. Oh, just barely. So we came into these highs, right, and got rejected. You could see it pretty clear. We were not able to make a new high. So that's a little concerning, you know? You really kind of want to see that. Awesome, B. Haynes. Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate that. And thank you for being here as well. Couldn't make a new high. So that's concerning. This was a nice short opportunity. They even gave you a couple more right here and right here. Now it's a little tough because we filled this gap below and kind of holding. Kind of holding where we gained, right? So then the idea would either be a move back and another rejection. We've already rejected it quite a few times, so maybe it doesn't quite get there. And then you look lower. Or, and I mean, I'm using a slightly bigger time frame here, the hourly. I don't know what you guys trade. Or a move below, maybe take out these lows over here, and then they swipe it back, and then we look to short when they bring it back. If you guys are new to the stream, I mean, if you all basically are new to the stream, I'm new to the stream. None of you guys know my trading style really, but I am never buying breakouts. I am buying pullbacks always. And it doesn't matter what time frame, but you know, this is kind of range chop for me. I'm looking at the big overarching levels and trying to trade off of them. So that's kind of where my head's at on it. I mean, we could do this on a small time frame, right? Like we could go down to the minute, and you know, you're holding. So far you're holding, so like this is your level you want to watch. Hard to go short here because it's acted as support, right? But if it is to break down, and then maybe you look for the bounce back. I'm really not. I mean, I'm constructively bearish, I think, Madukar. I'm really not. Ultimately, to kind of get a feel for like how bearish I am at any given time, I'm always going to revert back to the indices. And the indices, all they're doing right now is consolidating. They're pulling back. They're filling a gap. I mean, to me, this is actually pretty constructive, right? This is an ugly day, but it's not. But it is constructive, in my opinion. This is what I would have wanted to see. So, you know, and also my bias can change very, very quickly, right? We're traders, so bias has to change quickly. Okay, nice. Gotcha. Thanks, Omar, for the heads up there. Dr. Dice Shooter. What's up, man? Or miss. I'm not sure if you're a man or a woman. But thank you for being here. Rosie Tom Stoner, thank you for being here too. Let's look at TTOW, Take Two Interactive. I have not looked at this in a long time. Let's see what's going on with it. All right. Well, so there's some good news and there's some bad news, right? We're holding lows. And I'm just on the weekly here. So essentially, I'm just looking for the nearest term low to kind of gauge. So we're holding lows somewhere in here, right? We bounced. However, what are we doing? We're failing here. Not a surprise. It's kind of what you would expect. Kind of disappointing to see this candle this week when last week's, was so strong. Excuse me again. I'm going to go down to the daily time frame now. Kind of take a look. And what have we done here? Well, we got a high and we have a failed new high. So, you know, failed new high is never good. Uptrends, you want making new highs and new lows. So really, I would want to see them gain this. You want to see them gain this high? It's about here, which they failed almost to a T. And then again, like always, I'm looking for an extension and a pullback. Right, you want to see them gain, pull back, and go. That's just me. That's just me. You know, that's not necessarily the right way to do it. On the downside, you're holding the low right here. So, you know, maybe this thing is just in a little bit of a consolidation, and clearly it is. And you just got to let it make its decision. If you're trading kind of this bigger time frame, if you're swinging, if you are trading small time frame. Again, you're coming into daily highs here, and you did not make a new one, so we're failing. You know, I'm a big fan of anchored VWAPs. I love them. You can right-click on any candle and create anchored VWAPs from them. So I'm always looking for kind of like the nearest term, whatever time frame I'm trading. I'm looking for the nearest term high or low. If the stock is in a downtrend, I'm going to be measuring off the high. If the stock is in an uptrend, I'm going to be measuring off the low. So anchor from here. You can pass the baton. Brian Shannon talks about passing the baton when price gets rejected and makes a move lower. We pass the baton, anchor another one. And so, you know, we know that our average buyer from these June 28th highs owns this thing at 126. We would expect sellers up here if we can get there. And that correlates with previous high. So if I were to be long on this particular name, I would be looking to get out of the position about here, 126.60. I don't know if that answers your question, Dr. Dice Shooter. But if it doesn't, let me know. Volume shelves on Meta. Well, that depends, right? Depends on where you're measuring from. But let's just measure from way back in time and see. Grab volume by price here. Let's switch this to 50 columns. I like 50 column view. It's a little bit better of a breakdown, in my opinion. And I'm going to anchor it from July 22nd, 2013. Why am I doing that? Doing that because this is a big gnarly candle. I mean, it looks small, relatively speaking, but this is a big gnarly candle that took us out of this consolidation phase. So we're just looking way back in time here because we want to know kind of just long term. And right on, doctor. Rosie, maybe you can tell me a little bit about your trade idea, and we could talk about, we could get a little bit more specific with this. But measuring back from way far back in time, you got your VWAP here at 139.40. See a perfect bounce there. COVID lows, perfect bounce there. And we're coming back into it now. So if you guys, I'm not sure if you guys can see the, actually, let me just make them a little bit brighter for you. Do that. So yeah, now you can see a little bit better. So coming into a little bit of a volume gap here. These volume gaps can be a little bit tricky, a little bit deceiving. A lot of people see them as if price gets to them, it's going to fall right through them. And yeah, sometimes that's the case, but I've also seen it instances where price gets to them and finds support there. So got to be a little bit tricky. But we could anchor. So, you know, this is again, very long term. POC down at 58. That's rough. One kind of trick that I have employed in the past. We've got a bot here spamming us. One kind of trick that I've employed in the past, and you could try this on your own, is I'll use this POC value. I'll measure from a particular point, use the POC value as my line in the sand. And what I mean by that is I'm going to look for where POC is based off of where I'm measuring. And then I'm going to measure from the candle that starts where that POC kind of starts. So I'm removing essentially all of the price action that created that POC to create a new POC. So I do that, right? I jump it up to where that POC started, and we get a new one here at 73.92. So then what I can do is I can remove all of the price action around 73.92, and I get a new POC. And oftentimes I'll find kind of interesting things when doing that. So now things get really interesting, right? Now we've got a VWAP and a POC just above price action. So lots and lots of buyers. Everybody essentially, everybody who's bought Facebook since February 9th, 2015, on average, they are losing on this trade. Think about that. 7 years of buyers on average losing on this trade. That's not so great. So that's kind of something to consider. Now, on the opposite side of that, because I don't want to be viewed as bearish on everything, Facebook is at a huge level. And it's this right here, right? It's kind of these lows that took us up to the top. We're coming back and we're testing them. If I were bullish on Facebook, there is, for me, no better of an entry than kind of where we're at right now. I don't love Facebook just in general as a product. That's just a personal opinion, so I don't trade it. I really am very specific about what I trade. So I don't know anything about how this name trades. Obviously, this sell-off has been really, really, really tough for people. But, you know, this is, if we're at a do or die spot, right? This thing really, really needs to hold here. And you can kind of see what it did previously, right? From these previous lows, December 24th, 2018, we came up and we made a new high. In comparison to this one anyway, we made a new high. We sell off back to where it started. So essentially exactly what we've done again. We've made new highs. We've sold off to where it started. So if I were going to go long Facebook, the reason why I like the idea of a long here, especially like a longer term hold, is your stops are really, really defined. You could put a stop here below these near term lows, 154.25, or you could put a stop here, 137, depending on your risk aversion, you know, how risky you want to be, how much room you want to give it. There's a lot to test higher, you know. There really is. There's a ton to test higher. If we can break out of this consolidation and kind of make our way back up, you're talking about, you could even get a move back to 245. You could see a move back to 290 over time. I mean, it's going to take time. Could take years. I don't know how long it would take, but this is a very logical place, in my opinion, to go long. Just, you know where you need to be getting out. If it's making new lows past this, that's not so great. So that's kind of how I'd look at it, Rosie. Same thing here. Look at this. You got these lows, and we make new highs. And where does price come right back to? Comes right back to them. So we've seen this. This is the natural progression of Facebook over the past 6 years. It has a history of doing this. Anthony, let's talk about Tesla. I'm supposed to talk about this with JTrader tomorrow. I don't know if any of you guys follow him. Tesla. All right, so I've got something drawn here. Looks like just a range, kind of the range that we're in. So this is the weekly. I always like to draw anchored VWAPs from relative highs. It's always a good practice, in my opinion. All right, so this is the weekly. We're in range, so we need to go down, check out the daily. It's the same thing. We're just stuck in this range. So, you know, some people would highlight kind of this triangle thing, right? I don't follow this sort of methodology, but, you know, a lot of people are probably talking about this. This looks like a really nice consolidation. And the longer it stays in this consolidation, the more powerful the move out of this consolidation is going to be. It's what we have to expect. So, you know, maybe So either, you know, maybe you get a fake out and a breakup, right? That could happen. Could also happen that you get a fake up and a breakdown. You want to be mindful of that sort of stuff. This is why I have a little bit of trouble utilizing diagonals. I like horizontals personally. So on the horizontal side, we can kind of talk about what's going on here. We managed to just barely hold these lows, just barely. Pretty much made a double bottom. I mean, you made a slightly higher low here, but you're making lower highs. So until it comes up and out or down and out, we kind of you can't. I have a hard time trading this. Yeah, Anthony. See, that's the thing. I don't know. I can't really say right now because we're not trending. We're not making higher highs, but we're not making lower lows either. So we're not in an uptrend and we're not in a downtrend. We're just going sideways here. I mean, Tesla is, you know, obviously one of the hottest names to trade. And there are quite a few levels above. Well, let me see. Let me make sure. I mean, there are quite a few levels above that price could eventually come back to. That it hasn't really gone back to yet. Are we? Let's see where we're at over here. Yeah, so here is your kind of like, well, actually, here's your relative low. Holding that to a penny, at least near term. But a tricky spot to take a trade because they could go sideways for another week, right? Or two. Let's actually see, because I don't know when their earnings are. Earnings are July 25th. So we got a month before earnings. Is there an all-time high scan? So there is not a all-time high scan ranger, but there is a way to scan for highs, and you can make that. You can make it pretty much the all-time high. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to look for the current price in comparison to a range, right? Because if the current price is trading above a range, specifically a range high, then you're making a relative high. If you make that range really big, let's say, for example, we use a monthly time frame and we make the range 144 months. You're talking about 12 years of highs, right? And you're saying that the current price is above that. So therefore, price is at a 12-year high. It's not technically all-time high, but it's X period of time high. So the way that you do that, let's talk through it real quick. We're going to say condition. We're going to say price. And I'm just going to use daily here. Price daily high is greater than. And we're going to use an indicator. We're going to use the range indicator. So I'm going to say indicator. I'm going to use the monthly time frame. I'm going to say range. I'm going to say high. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offset this by one candle. And I'm simply doing that so as not to include today's high within this range. It's going to be a little bit tricky using the monthly because now we're at the end of the month. So this is going to essentially look at last month's candle and then whatever we define the range length to be. So if we click here, we can change the length. And let's say I make this 200. Well, what I'm saying is 200 months worth of highs, right? 200 months worth of highs. Our current high is greater than the past 200 months worth of highs. Set this to the current candle. I'm going to have it search. I'll do S&P. Well, no, I'm going to do NYSE and scan it and see. FCN. So it's like 1 day off an all-time high, this particular one. FCN, GIS. Yeah, interesting. LLY. So we're not at the all-time high today, but we did hit it this week, 2 days ago. And Bristol Myers Squibb hit it 2 days ago. So what you can do actually, let's do this. I'm going to call it like, all-time high. I'm going to put a star around it because it's not technically like absolutely all-time high, but it's essentially all-time high. All-time high scan. And I'm going to save this. And I'm going to share it with you. One of the really, really cool features about TrendSpider is that I can create things and I can share them with people. So if you have an account with us, you can create stuff. You can share it online. Anybody who has an account with us can use it too. So click the three dots, say share scanner. It's got to run the scan real quick. And you could play around with this. You could change the time frame. You could change the range length. There's lots you could do here. So we take this link, say copy, share this in the chat with y'all. There you go. So now you can use this. All you got to do is click on that link. It's going to take you to, well, let me show you. Copy. It's going to take you to this page. You're going to click login and import. And then you're going to pick subscribe. And it'll be living, once you subscribe, it'll be living in your shared scanners list under this title, all-time high scan, ATH scan. Lithium. LTHM. What's going on with lithium? Looks like I had drawn something here. Let's go to the weekly. All right. Wow. This is kind of a tricky one too, guys. I mean, we're kind of holding in here. Kind of. Not really, though. Let's see. So this is really where we held. Let's go to the daily. This thing's volatile. So kind of same deal as what we're seeing on the indices, trying to get into that second gap and failing. But we're holding lows right now. I would venture to guess that they're not going to hold just because we made, I don't know, we made lower lows here. So then where would I be a buyer on this? Maybe down here, 17 bucks. Kind of where I'd be looking for a long. And let's see, as far as an alternative to looking for a long down here, I'd be looking for a long maybe if we can get above about here, 25.80. But you know, if you really get into the weeds with it, what I would anticipate is that would take some time. So, you know, if this were to happen, whatever, you move up and we make some highs around here, I would still be looking for some pullback before going. I mean, so this is kind of cool on this smaller time frame on the 15 here. We are holding these lows. Maybe there's a trade here back to 23.6. There's $1 in it, maybe. At least you have a pretty defined, I mean, it would have been a better trade earlier this morning. Kind of hard to trade it now, but not impossible if you've got a long enough outlook and you just keep your stops tight. Right, I would have a stop kind of here, or just below this this near-term low, on the 16th, so 21.68. So what's that risk reward like? Yeah, the risk reward's there. That's almost a 4-hour trade. Oh, it is a 4-hour trade. That could work. Joe Nobody. Joe, you're somebody, man. You're not nobody. Let's look at Clove. Joe. Come on, man. Are you really trading this? Are you long this particular name? Have you been long this name for a while? Be honest. No judgment here. Just genuinely curious. Michael, I've got an idea for you, and I will tell you here soon. All right, so Joe, you are long this name. Okay. So depending on when you got long this name, first and foremost, I would never trade this. Stocks that look like this are not worth your time. This is absolute garbage until proven otherwise. But it has been garbage for some time. But I have absolutely also traded this in my past, or traded stocks that look like this in my past. And I've sat around waiting, hoping, praying price would come back. Never does. At least not until I sell, that's for sure. Or previously. Your only hope here is that this low holds. This is your hope. If this low does not hold, which it appears like it might not, this thing is going to continue lower. So if you're in this right now and you're trying to decide, this is where my stop would be. $2. If this thing trades below $2, closes below $2 or 195, I would get out. I'd wipe my hands and I would never look at this stock again and count it as a loss. Just count it as a learning opportunity. But I mean, this is so ugly, dude. This is so ugly. Especially if you're in from anywhere up here. Now, are there places where price hasn't come back to? Sure. $7 would be a spot. Yeah, I mean, tricky. Yeah. I mean, that's a 300%, more than 300% move. If it can hold these lows and start slowly making its way back, it might take some time though. I mean, it absolutely would take some time. Healthcare stocks in general are hard. SPACs are even harder. Yeah, Zach Morris cannot save Clove. If Zach Morris is on this, yeah, he can't save it. Sorry. I mean, you may get a pump one day. But what are we doing? I mean, ultimately, we're making lower highs. Now, everybody's probably talking about this. I imagine. Everybody's talking about this wedge. It's a perfect wedge. One day, it's going to break out. That's what they're all saying. At least that's what I imagine they're saying. I don't know. And again, no shade. I think if you trade, if you're trying to be a trader, you've been in names like this before. You've been stuck in them. I'd be curious to know what this volume deal is. June 24th. Why was there so much volume? Oh, because it's set to join the Russell 3000 index, I imagine. Yeah, what's up, Brad? How you doing? I mean, sure, maybe. I don't know. What's the float? Maybe it could come out of that, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't touch it. There's so many better names you could trade. Mike, favorite short right now. This is my idea, but they're trying to fail it right now. So I don't know if it's going to work. But I have this idea for Sting. This is a weekly chart. Sting's coming up into previous weekly area here. Kind of a big area that we would expect price to stall at least momentarily. I also, though, would expect price to... I kind of have the expectation price is going to push through it. We got an inside week forming. Last week we went up. So, you know, we'll see where they go next week out of this. I could definitely see them pushing it higher. They could push it lower. I'm not going to say that they're absolutely going to push it higher or lower. But if they do push it higher, I'm looking for them to kind of take out these highs. And the reason why is because this is a huge level, right? Huge weekly level, the December 2019 highs in here. And where do you think a bunch of shorts have their stops? Probably right about here. So if we get a nice big push into this, I would anticipate them coming up into this area here and taking out a bunch of stops, and then maybe it correcting a little bit. I'll show you a reasonable similar style play. This is AR and Taro midstream, same kind of look, further out high, 2015 highs, but same deal. They come up into those highs, they take out all those shorts up here, and we can zoom in. They wick it. It took 2 weeks for them to do this, for them to turn it backwards. So this isn't going to be like a let's just do this instantly kind of thing. This is a wait and see, let it play out kind of idea. But if they can get up into those previous highs there and sting, and we start seeing like a bit of sideways, we can go kind of to the daily here and look at how it looked. So this is kind of a bit of a formation that I might be looking for. And get this little wedge, right? Everybody sees the little wedge, little pennant, and then they really crank it and then turn it back. So this is kind of the idea. I'd be looking for a daily look on Sting, kind of like this, and I'd be waiting for that kind of capitulation day. That's my favorite. It's my favorite. This is something that I've had on my radar for I don't know, a couple of weeks. Just kind of waiting, hoping that they'll come up there and tag those highs. ITRM. Siga? What's going on, Siga? How are you? Oh, I just typed in Siga. Ah, that's funny. Oh, what is this? Siga. Did you miss the analysis on Clove? Siga, why are you in this trade? Oh, that's why. 21 cents? All right, so I don't really trade penny stocks. But I don't know. What do we do? Came up into those highs. May 23rd highs. Failed at them. Lots of volume here today. What's the news? Jumped 207% after the company announced it has terminated its previously announced at the market offering. Okay, so they were going to sell shares. They changed their mind. How many shares do they have already? Be curious to know the float. Let's go to a small time frame, because I would venture to guess you're day trading this. They cranked it on the open. Yeah, there was no news of this pre-market. This news came out right on the open. Ah, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty bad. I'm glad you're not trading it. This would have been a difficult trade to be in. My guess, it just kind of hangs out where it's at. It's kind of a one and done sort of thing. Yeah, Michael. I mean, that's just one idea, right? Like, I don't know what your trading time frames are. Let's go back and see. I see that crypto's kind of starting to hold a little, maybe. I'm always watching crypto. What's up with Bitcoin? Oh, no, it's not really doing anything. It's just chilling. What are the indices doing? Where's SPY? 380.06. Yeah, just chilling. They're just going to make us wait. They're just killing premiums, Careful buying options over the next couple of days. We got a long weekend on Monday. Speaking of long weekend, holiday weekend, July 4th. Oh, you guys, this is kind of cool. I wish I could share this with you. Our viewers chart is breaking out right now. We hit a high of 49. We consolidated, and now we're breaking out of the wedge. And now we're at 51. So, man, thank you so much for everybody tuning in. I really appreciate it. This is really cool. BB, we love you too. So, all right, so let's talk about this, Siga. You're asking about a bot to trade whatever Nancy Pelosi trades. You want to see something cool? I'll show you. If you go to the market scanner and you go to add parameter here and you say condition and you say news, content, and you say include all articles with all of keywords. Let's say Pelosi. Let's say Nancy Pelosi. Let's say buying. Nancy Pelosi buy. We put the current candle on. It's going to look for all symbols within the past 7 days that have had this in their keywords. Actually, you know what I should do? I should change this to any of the keywords, but let's just run it anyway and see. So this is at TrendSpider, one thing that we love to create are these weird kind of tools that nobody else really has. We've got really creative guys on our team that think up these kind of far out things. And in some cases, we don't really know if they're gonna work. You know, we don't know if the tools hold any merit, but we create them because they're cool ideas. So this is one thing that you can do with news, with the news that we have. News comes standard with all accounts. You can scan news. Actually, let me go to NASDAQ here. You can scan news for keywords. So like one thing that people do is, you know, obviously everybody wants to short whatever Kramer's bullish on. So type in Kramer and bullish and see what comes up. Or Kramer and buy. Kramer says buy. So nothing recently, but let me just change this parameter real quick. Go to news, an article with any of the keywords. There we go. Okay, so Pelosi buy, Pelosi buying, Nancy Pelosi buy. Let's try this again. Apple. Within the past 7 days, there has been news out about Nancy Pelosi buying Apple. DGLY. That's kind of interesting. What is this even? Dare. I'd want to look into this and see. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this is something you have to be careful of, right? We said we're looking for anything that has Pelosi in it. So House Speaker Pelosi said Republicans plotting nationwide abortion ban. So that's probably why these Dare and Digley are coming up. DGLY. Oh, it is. Interesting. But Microsoft, Tesla, Apple. Yeah, play around with this. This is a really kind of, and you can change the period too. Like you can make it like 3 days or today or whatever. So Apple within the past 3 days, Microsoft within the past 3 days. I'm just kind of looking through here to see if I can find anything. Obviously, Apple's going to have tons of news. Maybe what you really want to do is you just want to say like Pelosi buy. We could do Kramer too. While we're kind of playing around here, does anybody have any questions about anything? Oh, let's see. Omar, what did you say? Any expectation for SPY next week after this bleeding week with all the news next week, please? And short trading this week. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking there, bub. But we can talk about SPY. I mean, you know, we kind of talked about it a little bit already. We like that it's holding the gap. Turn this off. Right? It did exactly what you would have expected it to do. Kind of came in and filled that gap. It filled this one. We are not making new highs. You really want to see some new highs here, but we are making higher lows, so that's good. I have no expectation for SPY though. I let price kind of do its thing. Price will tell you where it's going to go. I know that's kind of a loose answer, but until we get some sort of confirmation of either lower or higher, especially right now, I mean, we're just sitting in this tight little range. Ever since yesterday's sell-off, we've just been ranging here, this box. So for now, we wait. We need to see it move up and out or down and out. We got to be mindful for breakouts too, because breakouts can reverse pretty quickly. So that's why I'm always looking for those pullbacks, as opposed to, you know, if we saw price fall and break down, it could just as quickly reverse, right? So we know that this area is a really important area. You know, we could see it acting as resistance here. We could see it acting as support here. So if it fails and then we get a bounce and we try to get back through it and we fail, then we can kind of expect lower. And this is where I would be kind of looking for a trade if we can get a bounce back into where we failed. The same is true to the upside. Look for a bounce where we gained, right? If we can get above these highs, we look for a pullback to where we originally had resistance, and we see if it can act as support. And if it starts looking like it's going to act as support, then we can start talking about long ideas. Split on Google. Friday is the record date. No thoughts on that. What's the split? How many for one? Also, how has it affected other stocks that have been splitting recently? Shop just split, right? What else has split recently? I guess you could scan for that. Actually, let's do this. Turn on split dates. So if you go to the other data button, turn on splits. Oh, okay. So 20 for one. Amazon had a split. Yep. And what did it do after that? I'm just kind of curious what the reaction has been recently. Amazon ran into the split and has failed. Is Google setting up like Apple? Or rather like Amazon? Nah, not really. I don't know. These sorts of things, split dates, earnings, I usually stay away from them because they can go either way. Especially if you're in like a nice consolidation period where price really needs to decide what direction it's going to go. It's hard, in my opinion, to trade those days. Sometimes you could trade into them, but then holding through them is really difficult. I never hold through earnings ever. Because the thing is, again, just like I keep on kind of saying, like, if this thing consolidates, like, let's talk through it. This thing kind of consolidates through here, right? And maybe we're down here. You're still in this consolidation period. And maybe the split date's gonna, everybody knows it's happening, first of all. So we know what's gonna happen. It's not like they're about to announce incredible earnings. We just know that they're gonna split. Splits, if you think about it realistically, splits are adding zillions of shares. I mean, 20 for one. They're multiplying their share count by 20x. So, yes, it makes it more affordable to buy one, but you're adding so much liquidity, or so many shares. It's not to say, I just don't know if that's really like a thing that's worth trading around. I would let price do its thing. And if it gains, if it breaks out, I'd be looking again for that retest back to where it was failing previously, kind of through in here. If price is able to get above it and come back to it, then yeah, we talk about a trade there. Same is true on the downside, right? If price breaks below and comes back to it, then we can talk about a short trade. But unless you're like selling, you know, like in theory, I guess you could, if you think that the reaction is going to be muted, maybe you could sell calls or sell puts. That would be maybe an idea. I don't really do that myself personally. Oops. But maybe that's an idea. Yeah, BB. SPY feels like it's an algorithm trading playground. Well, we're getting into the summer. Are our hedge fund friends going on vacation right now? Are they letting computers do the work? Maybe. Yeah. At least to some degree. What else you guys got? What are y'all trading today? What are you watching? Let's watch some things together. And who also, more importantly, who is here that hasn't said hello yet? Because if you're here and you haven't written in chat and said hello, Britsu. Yeah, see, you're new. What's up, Britsu? How you doing? QQQ. Kind of looks like SPY, huh? But haven't been able to make a new lower low. So that's something. Right? We tried, but we held. I don't know. Gut instinct for me is maybe a little bit higher. What's up, Daniel Magnuson? How you doing, Daniel? Hope you're doing good. Thank you for saying hello. I appreciate that. Yep, that's what it's doing, my friend. Just sitting there, chilling, wedging. Needs above this. Like, this is what we need to see. Looks like it might be going for it. We'll see if it can gain here. What's it look like on smaller time frames? A little bit of volume coming in. It could. It definitely could. Good, Dan. I'm glad to hear that. Meta. Ah, interesting. Meta with a nice little move. Again, need to see it get above some highs. Kind of in here. Maybe a little short opportunity, a quick short opportunity right here. Maybe. Michael, that is all I do, my friend. Scalp during the day. Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's so hard to swing things in this market. China names, maybe. I'm a little freaked out about China names, though. There's so much talk of them delisting ADRs maybe a month and a half ago. Again, like I said earlier in the stream, that might have just been a means to get the price down so that big money could buy, right? Like, just inject as much fear as possible. What's up with AMD? What's up with NVDA? Starting to round up a little. Because these were the names. Are there any other semiconductor names that you guys were watching that did this today? This is super concerning. Right? If you're bullish on tech, this is super concerning. We got new lows here. This is not bullish. NVDA made a new low but held it. What else? What else is there? Let's see. Semis. So I'm just gonna grab the semiconductor watch list here. Let's see what's actually working today. I want to check out DQ. All right, Poet. What The heck is Poet? Oh. Well, that's a tough one. DQ. Lots of people are trading DQ. Again, another China name. God, look at all these lines. I don't know what even that all is. What did DQ do? Didn't make a new high yet. Tried to get this one. Failed it. Yep, failed it. Came back, tested this where it broke out. Right here. And now we're kind of back testing somewhere in here where it broke out, and it's holding. This thing's showing some real relative strength. ON. Good idea. Ooh, not new lows. Held new lows. Let's do this. I'm going to scan for it. Today's low. Price low is less than indicator. Daily range. Low. Make this one candle ago. I'm going to make this 40 candle range. And I'm going to look through. Well, let's just look through semis real quick. Let's see what made new lows today. Whoa. Quite a few. Actually, all right. So this is a good lesson, you guys. I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys are users. If you are users, this is a good lesson for you. So depending on what kind of trader you are, one thing that I always recommend is to define your minimums. And by define your minimums, what I mean is define the minimum criteria that has to be true for you to even consider trading a name, right? One thing that I do not do is I don't trade cheap stocks. I don't trade stuff that's a buck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a parameter, and I'm going to say price daily close is greater than a constant value. I'm going to make this 10 bucks. That way, any names that come up in here are greater than 10 bucks. Just remove some of the noise for me. IMOS getting rocked. STM making new lows. MRVL making new lows. MRVL at a pretty interesting spot though. AVGO making new lows. OLED making new lows. Interesting. All right, sliding to QQQ per the request of Brandon Aguilar. Did I say that right? Yeah, see, Brandon. I keep failing. Soxel. What time frame, Joe? Where are you seeing this head and shoulders? Bigger time frame, probably. You talking about weekly? Choom, choom, choom. Daily. It's a little loose on the daily, but I mean, I get it. I see what you're seeing. What alarm are semis sounding? Well, Siga, they're making new lows. You know, we're not seeing it on the Qs yet. Look, check it out. Here's your low on the Qs, 290, or I'm sorry, 270, right? That's your low. We want to see this hold, or rather 269.28. We really need to see that hold. If this is the bottom, these things need to hold. SPY, lows, 362.17. And we're not really there. We're 20 bucks away. But what's concerning is that all of these names here, AMD, MRVL, OLED, AVGO, LASR, NVDA, these are all making new lows. What up, DU? Yeah, man, this is the scan right here. This is just semiconductors. We could go, we could check and see what's going on. Let's see what's counter trend here on SPY. S&P 500, see if there's anything making new lows. DU, how are you doing, brother? You having a good day today so far? Alex, any advice on finding good day trades? Well, what are you looking for? Maybe I can help you find it. Never-ending meetings. Well, that's busy is good. If I know you, DU, if I know you, you wouldn't have it any other way. Would you? Wouldn't you prefer to have more meetings than less meetings? I don't know, maybe not. Alex, no, for real. Alex Mendez. Any advice on finding good day trades? Give me a little bit more of an idea of kind of what you're thinking about here. This could be, what might make sense for me may not make sense for you. One thing, like I said, one thing that I love to do, and something that I have probably told 1,000 of our customers, is define your medium or define your minimums. By defining your minimums, you can very quickly get everything out of the picture that isn't meeting your absolute minimum criteria. So your minimum criteria can be simple things. It could be the price of a stock. It can be the volume, the average volume of a stock. It could be all kinds of things. You could define things like price is above XYZ moving averages, right? If it's above XYZ moving averages, that is more bullish than it being below XYZ moving averages. You could take it a step farther and you could say, let's say you're using the 10 SMA, the 21 SMA, the 50 SMA on any time frame. You could define that the 10 is above the 20. You could define that the 20 is above the 50. And if price is above all of those and they're all above each other, that's more bullish than if price was above them and they're not all above each other, right? So you can, it's more so a matter of defining just some bare minimum stuff and then looking for trades within those bare minimums. You can scan through a big list. Like, for example, I'll show you something that I have already pre-set up. And we can, if you have specific ideas that you want to understand how to scan, just let me know and I can totally walk you through them. But this particular scan, this is something that my buddy Ben, he created the scan and then I've just added stuff to it just to make it better fit my specific criteria. This is looking for something very specific, but outside of the very specific thing that it's looking for, it's also looking for kind of loose stuff. So for example, this parameter right here, it says price close greater than SMA 50. Pretty simple, right? It's on the daily time frame. The price is above the 50 SMA. Again, price close greater than 200 SMA. Again, very simple, but how many names are above their 200 SMA right now? Not a ton. By defining these minimums, it's going to pare down the results that we get. It's going to give us a lot more potentially actionable ideas. So that's my first advice on how to find good day trades. The next piece of advice, Alex Mendez, is I guess the next question though is, what kind of trade are you looking for? Are you looking for a bullish trade? Are you looking for a bearish trade? Just knowing that can help you define those minimums in different ways. Daniel, you have some scanners. What does this mean? Y'all, our viewer chart is breaking out right now. I'm so stoked about this. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really, really appreciate it. very much. So Alex, what you think, man? What do you like to trade? James, happy to have you here. Yeah, again, Daniel, I mean, sure, we can definitely, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can use. We have a ton of shared scanners here, and they're all looking for different things. The thing you have to keep in mind is that not everything works at the same time, right? What might work right now on one name might work terribly later on the same name. What might work on one time frame might not work on another time frame. Xander, welcome to the team, man. Happy to have you. Thank you so much. So where to start? Fantastic question. You're here. That's a good place. The next place that I would direct you, if you're trying to figure out just how to use the platform, the first thing that I'm going to recommend, if you go to your name, top right corner, and scroll down to where it says TrendSpider University, it's going to bring you to a lot of videos. So you could go through these videos if you want to. The step 1 videos are more kind of basics of TA. They're not so much about the platform. I mean, obviously we're using the platform in the videos, but they are more about the basics of technical analysis. Scroll down, you get into TrendSpider web platform, the TrendSpider University videos, these step 2. This is my first place I would direct you to start. Now, I also know that some people don't learn great when tasked with watching a bunch of videos. So if this is not your style, if you don't like to learn this way, keep on scrolling down and you'll get into this step 4, attend training webinar classes. These are hosted Monday through Thursday and most Sundays. The Monday, Wednesday class, I used to teach both. I used to teach all of these. The Monday, Wednesday class goes over the basics of the platform. So this is everything about the platform, not including scanning, back testing, and multi-factor alerts. Those are kind of more advanced features of the platform. If you want to learn about those, you're going to want to show up for the Tuesday, Thursday webinar. Tuesday, Thursday is the same webinar. Monday, Wednesday is the same webinar. You're welcome to sign up for these. You do not have to be a user to sign up for these. These are open for anybody to attend anytime they want. And Matt DeLeo, the gentleman, the kind gentleman that, and they're free. Yep, that's right. He's such a great guy. Love Matt DeLeo. He teaches these. And then Dwayne on the weekends. So these guys are great. Xander, I got more for you, man. After you've attended the webinars, you can you could sign up for one-on-one training with Matt, Justin, and Dwayne. These are 3 educators. If you've been a user for some time, I don't know if anybody here has been a user for a little while, but if you have and you've done a one-on-one, you might have done it with me because I taught one-on-ones for a year and a half. You can sign up for a free one-on-one training session by clicking on your name, scrolling down to where it says schedule training. It's going to be right here. You won't see it on my screen because I'm an employee, but you will see it on yours. Sign up for one of those 45 minutes one-on-one training session with one of our trainers. This is for asking specific questions. This is for if you want a deep dive on one of the tools, you can just do 45 minutes in the strategy tester if you want to. It's really up to you. And you can really kind of sign up for as many as you need, as within reason. We really don't police that too much. So feel free to sign up if you feel like you need multiple sessions, go ahead and sign up. Those guys are great. And as always, you're welcome to ask questions here with me while I'm live. And you can hit us up, of course, on Twitter, at TrendSpider. You can hit me up. I'm at Krutzky Trades. What's up, Che? How we doing? Good to see you, Che. So Daniel, cannot scan, go, no, go. And I wish that we could. That would be awesome if we could. We've talked about potentially bringing that to the platform eventually. But at this time, we cannot. And the reason being is because Go No Go utilizes quite a few different indicators. And I cannot divulge the secret sauce, frankly. ENDP. Endo. Interesting. Che, what are you doing, man? What is this? It's an ugly, ugly, ugly chart. But, you know, crazy volume this week. More volume this week than it's had ever. What's the story on that? Jumped 207% after the company announced it's terminated its No, that's not this name. We already talked about it. We already looked at that. What is this? What's the story here, Che? Why did this stock do this? Yeah, I mean, yesterday was the day to be in it. No doubt. Nice trend day. Today, not so much. Great trade yesterday. Yeah, could have taken the backside. Oh, birth control. Ah, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, so if you're stuck in this is kind of what I'd be looking for. I mean, I'm not saying you're stuck in it, Che. But be looking for a move off 46. Somewhere down in here. If you can find some support in there, maybe they can manage to get it back up. About 66 bucks, or rather 66 cents. Chewy, 1313. What's up, Chewy? We were talking about X yesterday, or Monday rather, weren't we? US Steel. Man, must hold. I mean, that's rough. This is kind of similar to the Facebook idea from earlier, but this is not what you want to see, in my opinion. Really want to see this stuff hold, and you got a little reaction when it first got to it, but now it's feeling below it, so that's concerning. Let's go to bigger time frame. Yeah, I mean, it could hold. It could. Kind of in here. It's kind of what I'd be looking at. It's kind of like must hold area. 16.74 to 18 bucks. If not, you're probably going back to 10. At least 15 maybe. QQQ puts overnight. Michael. I don't know, man. I'm going to be honest. I clear out my account end of day, and I have been for months. I have not been holding really anything overnight because it's just too tricky. It's just there's too many gap ups and gap downs overnight, and just not into it. I would rather go and sleep soundly than the alternative, which would be stressing about my puts overnight. Yes, Britsu, great question. We are. Yeah, it's coming. I can't give you a specific date on that, but it is absolutely coming, and I am so excited about it because I pretty much primarily trade SPY and the Qs, and I use futures to do so. So always watching futures. I mean, Michael, yeah, if you want to, you can. Just know, like you said, it's gambling. I promote a non-gambling environment. And that's not to say that I haven't gambled. I certainly have many, many times. But it bites me more than it does me good. So I'm very much in the practice now of avoiding the gamble. It doesn't look great though. I mean, we keep failing. keep failing. So this is when this breaks, it could be pretty powerful out of this, you know, this little consolidation. Bitcoin. Yeah, I got lots of lines on this chart. Let me remove them all. All right. Bitcoin. Got to go to a big time frame for Bitcoin. You know, obviously, the level everybody is watching, these old highs, right? Somewhere in here. 19.6, 20K to 18.5K, 20K to 19K. We wicked through it. That's trouble, man. To me, that's trouble. If we go to a daily, we made a new high, just barely. Trying to hold this low here. I think below this low, got a really good shot of coming at least all the way back down to 18. Below here, below 19.7 or so. Trying to hold it now, though. So who knows? They could, I mean, there's so much room to bring this thing higher, for sure. So much room. They could spend a lot of time doing this even. Right? They could make this a real slow slog before ultimately taking it lower, or ultimately taking it to kind of where it lost, somewhere around in here, 27, 28 grand, and then bringing it lower. Because then we still don't have new highs. So Bitcoin, this could take real time. Contagions. Yeah, it's all about the contagion. So Xander, what strategies do I like to use the most? My favorite, the way that I trade price action. So I'm simply looking for what the trend is at any given time. Is the trend up or is the trend down? And that can be determined quite easily, right? You know, if the trend is up, then you're making higher highs and you're making higher lows. If the trend is down, you're making lower highs and you're making lower lows. And then there's really just one other thing that price can be doing, and that's consolidating. So either you're accumulating at a bottom, a relative bottom, or you're distributing at a relative top. So it's all about identifying, are you in an uptrend? Are you in a downtrend? And that's going to be relative per your time frame. But you want to utilize the bigger time frames to help you determine what's going on the lower ones and help you make a trading decision on whatever time frame you trade. So let's say you trade the, let's say you trade the daily time frame. Well, you're going to want to know what's going on the monthly. You're going to want to know what's going on the weekly before you start trading the daily, because whatever's going on the monthly, whatever's going on the weekly is going to impact what's going on the daily. If your monthly trend is down, if your weekly trend is down, then you kind of have to anticipate your daily trend being down too. You want to be looking for all those things happening in tandem. And that can kind of get you started. In theory, you could scan for all that, right? You could say you have a red candle on the monthly, you have a red candle on the weekly, red candle on the daily. We would call that full time frame continuity. You can use one tool that I love to use is this smart checklist. So let's go to time frame, full time frame continuity. So what is this looking for? Price close greater than price open on the hourly, on the daily, on the weekly, on the monthly. So I'm looking for 4 green candles, right? Everything is aligned. So what do we have on Bitcoin? We have 3 out of the 4 are red. The only thing that's green is the weekly. Is that true? Yeah. No, not true. What's going on here? Oh, current candle. That's why. So have to have the current candle toggled on. So daily, weekly, monthly are all red. Your 60-minute is green, right? So that's kind of interesting. Your 60-minute is bucking the trend a little bit. But since your daily, weekly, monthly is all red, I'm going to be looking for shorts, right? Because we are in a clear downtrend on those bigger time frames. So I'm just pretending that I'm trading the 60-minute. So from there, I'm going to be looking for where would it make sense for price to get rejected. Well, where Bitcoin is right now is actually a very logical place for it to get rejected, because support, and then we fail. And we found some resistance here. Now we did wick through this, but, you know, and I'm not taking this trade right now, but if I were thinking about trading here, this is kind of how I would be deciding. Yeah, Che, right. This is the strat. This is essentially the strat. The strat does have some other stuff that they're looking for with the inside bars, or the 2 up, 2 down, the outside bars. I don't really care so much about those. I mean, they're interesting to me, but I'm more so interested in price action. So I'm looking for places where price has kind of had some support or some resistance previously, but not gone back and tested to see, you know, if that would hold or not. So if we go back in time here, we can kind of look around in this area. See, we have a low here, a low here, a low here, and then we fail below it. And how we haven't come back to it yet, like this would be an interesting spot where price might want to come back to. Since I have this short bias, since the daily, the weekly, and the monthly are all red, I would be inclined to take a short somewhere around in here if price were to get there. Will it get there? I don't know. But when it does, or if it does, and everything else is in alignment, then I'm gonna look at that as an opportunity to take a short position. Now, if these were all green, right? If daily, weekly, monthly were green, I would be anticipating price to push through this. So I'd be thinking about a different trade. Since they're red, I'm not really anticipating price getting here, but if it does, I think that's a really logical place to take a short. So this is kind of like how I think about trades. Yeah, go no go is super cool. The thing that kind of the thing that I have trouble with go no go is the fact that the trend can change so quickly. So go no go, for anybody who has not seen it, let me add it here. Go no go is an absolutely beautiful indicator. And though I don't know the secret sauce stuff that's in it, there's, I think, quite a bit in it. Different rules that have to be met in order for the go no go indicator to be a particular color. There are 5 colors on go no go. There's purple, there's pink, there's orange, there's aqua, which is like a light green, and there's blue. And those 5 colors represent essentially like different strengths or weaknesses of trend. If the trend is really weak, it's a dark purple color. If the trend is moderately weak, it's a pink color. If the trend is indecisive, it's orange. If the trend is moderately strong, it's this aqua or green color. And then if the trend is strong, it's a blue. So different theories about how to buy with the go no go. There's a lot of, you look for, if you're looking for the change of trend, you're wanting to see those orange candles forming. Those orange candles are leading you to the idea that maybe the trend might be about to change. They don't always change in a new direction. You can see here the trend was weak. It tried to gain. We had this indecision, and then it just lost it again. And it wasn't until we got into that aqua color that price was actually able to gain properly. So there are a couple of different resources for this. If you go to our YouTube page, TrendSpider. And you type in go no go. I spent some time hanging out with these guys recently. I'm going to link you guys to this so you have it. If anybody's curious about Go No Go. Super cool dudes. We spent about half an hour talking about how they use it, how they trade off of it, and what they're looking for. I would recommend giving that a once over. All right, Madhukar, thank you so much for being here, man. Pleasure to see you. We will be back next week. You have a good rest of your day, man. And happy long weekend if you're here in the States. But yeah, what gets tricky for me with Go No Go is just simply that the trend can change really fast. So I got to be careful there. But I know a lot of people really like using it. We did a Twitter space last night with Blue Moon Trades, and he was talking about it's like a primary indicator that he uses. So actually, Blue Moon might be a guy that you could, if you're interested in learning more about it, you could maybe reach out to Blue Moon and just get his 2 cents on how he uses it. He uses it in tandem with like some moving averages, the 5 and the 12, I believe. Keep getting these spam bots. Go No Go with 512 and 3450. Yes, so that's exactly. Daniel, do you follow Blue Moon? Because he was talking about exactly that. Ripster. Got it. Microsoft pretty strong on the day. Again, though, just consolidating, chilling. What are you guys looking at right now? Oh, did the market just close? Did we just miss it? Shoot, I'm sorry, y'all. Market just closed. We missed it. Yeah, I mean, all they're doing here is destroying premiums. Just crushing the options holders. Yeah, Blue Moon Trades, I believe is his Twitter. Let me check that real quick. Yep, Blue Moon Trades. Burning longs and shorts. That's right, Siga. That's what they're doing. Oh, whoa. What's up, Blue Moon Trading? So you're not Blue Moon Trades. You guys should hang out and start a super Blue Moon trading group. Ha, crazy. Right on. Yep, you totally should. 2 dudes drinking Blue Moons, trading stocks. All right, so we got CPE and jobs numbers tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, holding a higher low. That's what I can say about it for now. Qs are the same. It's a good tool for tracking reports. You mean for tracking CPE and jobs numbers? B. Haynes, 50. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Really appreciate you being here. You have a good rest of your day. Don't work too hard. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great rest of your weekend, or have a great long weekend. That's a good question, Xander. I mean, Twitter is what I would use. I mean, you're gonna... Of course we have a news widget. And you can scan for news stuff, but there's not a way to like be alerted on news bits? So probably what I would do is I would have a news widget up and just take it to the spy. Take it to spy or queues. Because there are news articles here about GDP, right? Like there's stuff here. It's just a matter of scanning through this real quick. You could always scan. I mean, you could scan for it, like we did earlier. News content. Include an article with all the keywords. See core inflation, CPI, or is it CPE or CPI? Jobs numbers. This isn't the cleanest way to do exactly what you're trying to do, but this is just scanning for any names that have jobs numbers in the article. PCE. What's PC stand for? Because I thought core inflation, I thought that wasn't until July, like July 13th. CPE. So it is CPE. Nope. I don't know. I need to search that. Google it. One thing that I do, I just look for like Fed announcement, Google search Fed announcements, and all the dates are there. And one thing, actually, speaking of, I remember why I had a horizontal line, or vertical line rather, on my Bitcoin chart. I can't remember what day it was on. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll do something like this, and I'll put a vertical line on my chart, and it'll be like, you know, inflation number. Like if it's getting close, I'll just do something like that and have it up on my chart so that I don't forget. Hey, it's there. Yeah, multiple charts. Right here, click on that square. You have up to 4. Now, you do have to look at the same symbol. There's not a way to do multiple symbols. That's coming too. What's WRAP? W-R-A-P. Is that a ticker? We do have this kind of thing. It's not the greatest workaround for looking at 2 tickers at the same time. Yeah, you can't do it yet, Daniel, but that is coming. Multi-chart view is absolutely coming. Let me explain kind of why it doesn't exist. The reason why multi-chart view does not exist on the TrendSpider platform right now is it's kind of a cool reason, actually. I know it's a little bit frustrating for some users that like to look at multiple tickers at the same time, but the way that we designed our alerts, they were specifically designed so that you wouldn't have to look at a bunch of names at the same time. Our thought process was that if a trader should really be focused on a single symbol, focus on the thing you're trading and let the alerts be your eyes and ears. So that's kind of the way that we've always looked at it. That's how the platform was designed. That being said, we have gotten the feedback that people want multiple ticker view. So we are working on it, and it is coming, and it should be coming sooner than later. I would expect maybe by the end of the summer. Yeah, so what you can do as a workaround, there is an indicator called price compare. So if we add that, now we've got essentially 2 tickers. I can't do much on this chart. I'll be honest. You cannot put indicators on this. But if I click on the 3 dots here and I go to, let's say, what am I? I'm on SPY right now. So let's say I want to go to AMD. So here's the AMD chart and the SPY chart on top of each other. Like I said, it is limited. You can draw on this, but I can't put a bunch of indicators on here. But this would be the workaround. Oh, is TVIX a thing anymore? No, it's not. And I mean, if you wanted to, you could have a couple of them. Like in theory, you could. Things start getting a little scrunched up there. But here's NVDA, here's SPY. We could do, you know, whatever. Apple. Oh, maybe we can only do two. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I've reached the limit. So you can only do one additional ticker. No, you can't add indicators into the price compare indicator or onto the price compare indicator. It's a wrap on wrap. What's up with wrap? Wrap Technologies. What is this? Big day the other day, huh? What is this? $2 to $3.50. Look where it stopped. Huh. What are the odds? All right, so let's go back. Did they, I mean, they just chilling. Yep. Let's check out the daily real quick. I want to see something. Just check and see what the raindrops look like. Ah, cool. Blue raindrop on the daily, on the Qs. You guys use the raindrop candles? How about SPY? SPY, pretty darn close. Almost a blue raindrop. Good question, Siga. So, raindrop candle. Raindrop candles are volume-based candles. So the reason why they look so crazy is because they essentially have volume profiles. That's what these are. That's what that contour is. It's a volume profile. So your standard Japanese candle is going to have a high, a low, an open, and a close. Raindrop candles have high and low, but they don't have opens and closes. They have left and right-hand sides. So left-hand side, and I'm just going to talk about this candle right here, this big green one. The left-hand side represents the volume and the distribution of that volume on the first half of the candle, or the first half of that time frame. So this is a daily candle. So this is where the volume was on the first half of this day, from 380. SPY traded between 380.20 and 374.69 on the first half of the day. Right. On the right-hand side, you have the volume distribution on the second half of the day. Notice how much different it looks. Anywhere on the candle that's flat, no volume occurred there. So that's how we know the first half of the day, these highs and these lows weren't met. So essentially, there was like a bullish, or there was like an engulfing candle in the second half of the day, right? And the volume was pretty evenly distributed across the second half of the day. Most of the volume was in the middle. Either side has a horizontal bar. The horizontal bar is the VWAP, the volume weighted average price for that half of the time frame. We'll talk about that in a second, Siga, why they're limited to 10 minutes. I'll tell you in a minute. On the left-hand side, your VWAP was at 377.72. On the right-hand side, VWAP was at 378.64. So your VWAP, your average price that was paid, increased from the first half of the time frame to the second. Because it increased, you get a green candle. The opposite is true when the volume weighted average price decreases. So you get a red candle when the volume weighted average price decreases. Now, on occasion, The volume weighted average price remains the same throughout the course of the day, as is what happened here on the Qs. You get a blue candle when that's the case. So the average price that was paid on the Qs was the same first half and the second half of the day. So essentially that is like a true volume doji candle. Essentially what that means is indecision. So we look for these blue candles. We tend to see them right before periods of volatility. Now, they don't always mean that you're going to get a volatile move instantly, but oftentimes you do get some volatility as a precursor, or maybe precursor is not the right word. You get volatility after you get a blue doji because they're kind of rare. It's really hard, especially with something like the Qs. You're trading millions of shares per day. It's hard for these candles to have this happen. Usually price is going to increase or decrease throughout the day. So we look for these blue dojis kind of to be signals that there's real indecision in the market. And generally what comes out of indecision is volatility, price discovery. Because think about it like this. When a market is indecisive, nobody's really making any money. The only people that are making money are the people that are selling calls or selling puts, right? Stock's not moving, so if you're long, it's not doing anything. If you're in calls, long calls, you're getting crushed. If you're long puts, you're getting crushed. Just premiums, right? So oftentimes, what will come out of or come after this indecision is vol. So this is kind of interesting to see. Not a surprise to see this here today, but it could be something to keep a real serious eye on. I mean, we can look at the past couple. Excuse me. Like you got one here. So what I'll look for. This is also kind of a strat style, but like a break in one direction or another out of that move. So a break higher or a break below. A break above the high or break below the low can sometimes be kind of powerful. You can see that break higher was pretty strong here. Same deal for the break lower right here. We broke lower and it really failed. So, one idea for tomorrow, and this is like I said, this is kind of a strat idea, would be taking the breakout in either direction. If you gain this high of today, maybe you get a nice push higher. If you fail below this low today, maybe a nice push lower. So the reason why the raindrops are not available below the 10-minute time frame is simply because of we're trying to accrue some data here. On the 1-minute time frame, that volume might not be there might not be much of it. So the candle might not really it might not form properly. We might add lower time frames eventually. But right now 10 kind of makes the most sense for us. Yeah, so Che, this is something that Trading Wars, I don't know if you follow Trading Wars. Trading Wars, he's got an indicator on the platform. Golden. So he's probably eyeballing this. I would bet he's got his eye on this. European stocks, Daniel. I don't know. Eventually, yes. Eventually, yes. I couldn't tell you when though, man. And I'm sorry that I can't. I'm sorry that I can't give you an idea on that, but I just simply don't know. Best Buy stock will go to zero. I personally use the store as a public bathroom. That's pretty funny. Let's see. What's Best Buy? BBY? Yeah. Do they know you use it as a bathroom? Well, it doesn't look good. It definitely looks like terrible. I'm just going to go to a bigger time frame here. Where are we at in the monthly? Yeah, man, doesn't look great. Let's see. Let me try weekly here. This BBY is Zach Morris call. And I will say 61, 72. It's kind of a must hold, in my opinion. That's on the weekly. Let's go to daily. Yeah, I would stick with that 61. I'd be looking for a long at 61. You'd have to be really careful though with how you played it. I would have to be really careful with how I played it. Actually, let me say it that way. You do whatever you want. But if I were to go long 61, I would probably, actually, I'd probably just sit and watch it. If it got to 61. Like it depends on how fast it gets there. What's do they have earnings anytime? August 23rd, 2 months until earnings. Yeah, there's plenty of time there. That might be a buyer at 61. Probably have a pretty tight stop. So you have to be careful how you played it. Short Zach Morris. He's definitely well known in the FinTwit world, that's for sure. APYX. Huh. How about that? Holding these lows here. And kind of failing around in here. Still some stuff that price could find its way back to. $8. 867. Kind of like in here. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Held this low. Really need to see a gain now. You got a gap up here. 981. Could, I mean, maybe it could get there. I don't know. This is a kind of a messy chart. This is something that I would probably stay away from personally. Not saying you should, just saying that I probably would stay away from it. But if it can gain 744, maybe you get a move back to that 8.5 level, maybe. Vine. What's Vine? Any news? No news on it just yet. Fresh Vine Wine. What a name. Yeah, hard place to, well, I mean, a little bit of room. 240. All right, Michael. Thank you so much for being here, man. You have a great rest of your day. Happy long weekend to you. Lee. Yeah, so this, it's another China name. There's a lot of momentum here, but man, the question is like, did all of this consolidation here, does this all make it so that price doesn't need to come back and test all of these gaps? That's kind of a question that I would have. These gaps freak me out. And the speed with which it got up here kind of freaks me out. But I mean, it did it. It's done this before. It's done this here. It's done this here. And then it just consolidated for, you know, a year. What's the monthly look like? Yeah, I mean, that is interesting. You are gaining these highs. But the last time we did that, right here, we went all the way back. But this was a failure month, and this is looking like it's not going to be a failure month. Yeah, I mean, again, we talk about China names, and I'm kind of freaked out by them. But go to like KWeb, and things do look pretty decent over there. I mean, it's a pretty decent consolidation formation. Came and tested this breakaway gap. Could we go back though, 25? I mean, we could. Do you need to? I don't know. We could. We barely made a new high, but we didn't make a high relative to this one. Yeah, so with Lee, tough place to take a long. I would be selling short here with a stop kind of about here, maybe just above here, maybe like in here, something like that. It's $1. I would be more short biased personally on it. At least short term. If you can get above all this, get above 40.82, then maybe I would change my song. Oops. But even still, yeah, I mean, you would have room up to like, yeah, I don't know, 42. Somewhere in here, maybe. I don't know, how much has this gained in a month? This is where like the chess part of trading comes into play. So it's up 100% in 1 month. It's pretty wild. If we go bigger time frame, just using a fib, high to low. Seeing if there's anything really there. I mean, it's definitely this 618. I mean, clear resistance, 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 breaking above it, and it might be holding here. So this thing actually might be ready for higher. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's just so extended. I would have a hard time playing it, but you know, up to you. Yeah, Che, I mean, that's kind of how I would see it. Like maybe if we can gain and pull back, maybe I might look for a pullback, but we got a lot of gaps below. Do they need to fill is the question. I don't know. I just worry about Chinese names here. I worry about them pulling the rug, man. Yeah, there is. There is a gap above. Yeah, so maybe if they're, I mean, so pretty strong today, all things considering. Maybe they try and like gap it up tomorrow. This thing looks like it loves to gap overnight. I mean, look at this. Gap overnight, gap overnight, gap overnight, gap overnight, gap overnight, gap overnight. It loves to gap overnight. If it gaps up into this, that to me would be like a pretty clear short. Like if it gaps up in here, like into like 40, to me that would be like an instant short. Try and take it back. Neo, same deal. A little bit cleaner of a chart. Filled the gap, held. Yeah, I mean, can't argue with it. Strong. Made a new high and rejected. But doesn't look bad. What's weekly? Bearish engulfing weekly. So that's something to keep in mind. You do have this gap up here, 27. Yeah, maybe what I would do, maybe I'd be looking for a short around in here, 27.5. A short around in there or a long. Let's go back to the daily. Held here. If we found our way back in here, 1744, maybe a long around in there. NASCAR all out. What's up? LYT? Lightus. Jesus. What is this? Excuse me. Yeah, this is a Insta do not touch. What's up, Drip James? I mean, this looks like insolvency or something. Did they go bankrupt? Opinion on SPY. So we've talked about this a bit already today, but we're just stuck, man. SPY is stuck. And until it gets unstuck, I have zero opinion about it, honestly. We are holding higher lows, technically. There's a zillion ways you could draw this. The way that I was kind of seeing it was somewhere about like this. We had support here, kind of in this area, this 385, 380, 390 level, early May. We break below. We've come back up to test, and we're failing it. So, kind of my top side targets on SPY are somewhere around in here, 407. This would be an area where I would be probably pressing pretty hard on the short button. Especially if we got there relatively quickly. But really what we need to see, what I need to see is I need to see price above, pull back, and then move. For kind of to have, you know, just continued long bias. I'm slightly more long bias right now. Even though today was a rough day and yesterday was a really rough day. I mean, what did we really do? All we really did was we filled this gap below, you know. And as long as you were careful, you were probably unaffected by this. What did we do last week though? Last week, let's see. No, here this is Friday. I mean, we gained 8% on SPY last week. That's huge. It's a huge move. To not expect a little bit of consolidation there, a little bit of back testing, you had to expect it. I know a lot of people have this gap up here and they see this gap and they're like, yeah, that's got to fill. Well, maybe. And probably at some point, but didn't necessarily have to fill this week. All in all, you have a low here, you have a low here, you have a low here, you have a low here. They're all higher. And technically higher highs, but you know, when you go to bigger time frames, that's when you start seeing that we're not making higher highs. So if we're reversing here and we're going lower, what we really need to do is we need to start taking out lows here, here, here. But right now we're not really doing that quite just yet. We can go to a smaller time frame and kind of look at it. You know, like low, higher low, higher low, higher low, potentially. I think this is pretty constructive, frankly, but at the same time, this isn't. Right? Would have liked to have seen at least price come up and maybe gain some of this, get above it. Daniel, favorite setup in a bear market is a move back into where price fails. So it doesn't matter the time frame. So my favorite setup in a bear market is if price breaks below low, price makes a new low and comes back to where it broke below. That's my favorite setup. We can see it here. What am I doing? This is a good example. You make a low, you bounce, you break below that low, and you come back in and you test. This is my favorite setup in a bear market. And the opposite would be true in a bull trend, right? You would gain, you'd pull back, and you'd keep gaining. You know, kind of in here. And they're not always super clean, but you know, you have kind of an area of resistance, or rather an area of support. We break down and we fail, break up, and we come back and we test. Strategy for that setup in TrendSpider. Well, think about what you're doing. I mean, so it can be really tricky. Trying to like scan for this is tricky because scanning is very specific, right? I mean, you could say within range of, so you could say like price low is within range of range high. Actually, let's do it. Sorry. So like if you're looking for a pullback, you could say something like price low, 5-minute low is within range of indicator, maybe 5-minute range high by X%. Maybe you say like 0.2. And let's say 50 candle range, set that back one candle ago. So what we're looking for here is the 5-minute candle low is within 0.2% of the past 50 candles range high, right? So like potentially that could be defining a pullback. It's so specific. Well, okay, so when you say strategy, what do you mean then? Because the way that I kind of interpret what you're asking is there a way to find this on the platform? And ultimately what I'm kind of getting at is there is a way to find it, but price doesn't always act perfectly, right? Sometimes price does act perfectly. Sometimes it comes right to a particular level that you have in mind, but sometimes it doesn't. So you have to think about all the things that are happening in the sequence that they're happening, right? So first you're looking for a pullback. but you're looking for a pullback to a particular candle. You have to define that particular candle, or you have to define that particular range of candles. So it's all about that range, and that range can be tricky to define. So if you have very specific, I want 5 green candles followed by 3 red candles, you could define that. That's very easy. It's going to find you very specifically that. But what I would do, so what I do personally, because I trade this way, I just use alerts as opposed to like a specific defining the strategy. I just look on the chart, and I've learned kind of where levels of interest are for me. So like this would be an interesting level. We tried to get above it. We were able to break above it. We came back to it. You can see here we tested it. We tested it 3 or 4 times, and then we failed below it, but we have not come back to it, right? So if I'm thinking that price at some point is going to work its way back up here, well, then all I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on it, say create alert outline. I'm going to choose a touch bounce alert, set my sensitivity, and I can break down any of these tools if you want me to, but set my sensitivity, my time frame. I'm going to say short SPY. If that's my idea, like I want to take a short when price gets there. Set it for however long, set it for the amount of triggers I want, and I'm going to let the platform just do this all for me. So the platform will alert me on a 5-minute candle that touches or bounces out off of this area. So that would be like how I would do it. Somebody was asking about IPOs. What I would do with IPOs, if you're looking for names that have IPO'd, I would use that news. I would say condition, news content, include all articles with all of the keywords IPO, and then just scan a big list. So maybe NYSE or anything that has IPO in the news. So obviously some of these are not IPOs. CRM is not an IPO. J&J, Shop is not. RKT is not. PFE is not. I don't know anything about any of these symbols. There is not a I guess none of these are actual IPOs. So I'm not sure what actually hold up. Let's do this. I'm on the wrong time frame. Wonder what was up with this one. Boxed, BOXD. Looks like maybe it was a SPAC because it was trading around 10 to 12 bucks. Maybe they finally went public, or they actually went from their SPAC to. G-Sun, biggest winner this month. Bought at $4 pre-IPO, sold partial $19. Nice job. By day 2, it hit 29. G-Sun, dang. What a trade. How'd you know about it? Now trading 19. Back to your sell price. Yeah, just a huge IPO day. Wow. What a move. Insane. So for something like this, I would see where your average buyer is, anchor a VWAP to the first candle just to kind of keep a gauge, because this price action is pretty spotty. Maybe we had a lot of volume on that first day, but overall it looks like this is pretty low volume just based off of how the price action works. It's like if you're trying to gauge, kind of just generally more bullish above, more bearish below the VWAP, because your average buyer right now is stuck $20 and change. What's up, David? How's it going? UVIX. So I don't know anything about this product. 2x long VIX futures. Does it like refresh every day? If so, you can't really chart it. Guys, I'm just realizing it is 2:45. It's about time for me to get out of here. All right, guys. So I'm going to plan on wrapping this thing up. If anybody has any last minute questions, I'm happy to answer them. Any last minute things you want to take a look at? Any last minute curiosities about the TrendSpider platform? Did you guys know that we have a 50% off deal going right now? Here's the link. If you are sitting on the sidelines and you don't have a proper trading platform, now is the time. 9K RPM. Henry, let's hook you up. What you got? XOM. Che, yearly time frames. Just hit up Dan about that. I'm not sure. I would love yearly time frame charts. That would be awesome. I know the Stratters want it too. Okay. So, 9K. What are we doing? Well, we're holding higher lows. Just barely. This thing doesn't look great. Really would have liked to have seen it hold kind of like right here, and it did not today. So that's a little concerning. Gap here, very small. The question is the oil trade over? And, you know, hard to know. I mean, there's a lot of consolidation here. I always like to anchor VWAPs from like areas where consolidation kind of started. So I would kind of view this pretty gnarly candle here. Maybe they had earnings here. Did they have earnings here? Yeah, earnings. Knew it. I like to anchor from pivotal candles. This is clearly one. And so far, we've kind of been riding this thing. So, in that, I mean, yeah, I would have liked to have seen this hold. It really kind of needs to hold 85, 65.64. I think below kind of 85 or so, I would be looking for shorts. I don't know if the oil trade's over. Kind of failed here. About where you'd expect. There is this gap above left to fill at some point, maybe. $93 calls expiring Friday. Youf. When did you get them? Did you get them at the close? I hope you got them at the close. So, what's going on with XLE? XLE. Same deal. All right. So what some traders probably might look at, yeah, I mean, kind of a little head and shoulders thing going on. I think 85, 88 would be my line in the sand personally. I would be looking for bearish trades there, kind of below. And just as always, you know, if we break below, I'd be looking for that move back to retest and trying to get in somewhere there if I could. 93 by Friday. Whew. I mean, they could just bleed you, man. That's tough. They kind of did that already, right? They kind of did that on Monday. Or what day is this? Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Yeah? Yeah. And they gave you that. They get, man, this is worrisome to me. They gapped up pretty much, right? Yeah, so they gapped you up this morning. Right, man. That's cruel. So, for me to even consider a long position, and I know this is not what you want to hear, but I need to see price above 92 and a half. I need to see a gain, come back, and hold. That's where I'd be at on it. Below 85, I think this thing is in probably some pretty big trouble. I could also, though, see them. Remember, we're going into a long weekend. I could see them just cruising through here. Pending XLE holds. If they sell off XLE, then this is going to go with it. But I could see them just doing what they did on SPY today here. Into the long weekend. Just killing all the options that expire this weekend. Volatility great again. Amazon. I haven't looked at this. Well, I guess we sort of looked at it. Let's go to a daily here. Yeah, so lower high, held this low, man, and they could literally do this for a long time too, is the problem. They could just hang out in this range all summer if they wanted to, right? Maybe slightly break below it, slightly break above it, give people a little bit of hope. But that would be my idea. Is I would not touch Amazon personally. Because it's just consolidating. I mean, I guess you could maybe play the ranges. Kind of really want to see this 103-ish area hold. Oops. Personally, I'd want to see this area hold like 103 or so. And I'd be looking for a break of 125. That's kind of on bigger time frames. Because that's where you get like the next leg of the move. You either get a break up with a pullback, and hopefully this would hold, and then you could continue. Or the opposite, to the downside. You break down, you come back and test, and then you play the move lower. Either way, you're buying. You're kind of buying those retests because they're the safest entries. Always buying retests because they're the safest entries. George, what is your question, sir? You could just ask it. You don't have to wait for me to ask you. Long-time subscriber, first-time commenter. Well, thank you so much. Where's the beef? What does that mean? What does where's the beef mean? Pep. Huh. That's kind of interesting. Kind of held where it needed to. Barely made a new high. All right, so that's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm just kind of piecing this together in my brain. So with Pep, you really got to see this hold kind of in here. 157.5 or something. Kind of where we held over here. Kind of need to see this hold. We need to gain, we need to get above at least this inside day to day. A smaller time frame. Yeah, I mean, I would maybe, if I could get it, I might like this idea, like a long off 162 or so. 162.5, maybe. I might like that idea. Yum. Is there yum? Is that a thing? Yeah, that is a thing. Yum kind of in the same spot as, or a very similar looking chart as Pepsi here. Doesn't look quite as good in my opinion. Kind of failing where it should. Yeah, that's not great. So what I would kind of anticipate on this is I would anticipate a move lower. I would anticipate that they would take all these stops out. And then I'd be looking for a level that kind of that they haven't come back to. Could be in here, 105. Could see that. Somewhere in there. You can kind of see, I guess it's maybe more so like that. Yeah, so not much here for me, but you know, maybe I don't know how they'll do this, but if they bring it down here, they got earnings here July 28th, so a month out. That's some time. If they brought it down here, I might look for a move back to kind of that previous support. They've tested this 3 times. Would not be shocked to see them do it again. All right, guys, I'm going to dip up out of here. I really, really, really appreciate you all being here, hanging out. It's been so much fun. We're going to keep on doing these. Seems like you guys dig them. I dig being here. So we're going to keep on doing these. Monday is a holiday. That's July 4th. Speaking of July 4th, we have a 50% discount going on right now. And it is available for a short period of time, not very long. So if you want to take advantage of it, I'm going to send you the link one more time. It's right here. 50% off for 2 full years. Doesn't matter what plan you want. You're going to get that 50% off for 2 years. So if you have been thinking about getting an account with us, now is the time to do that. This is the best deal you're going to get for a while. So again, thank you all for being here. My name is Jason. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we are hanging out with JC Peretz. If you do not know who JC Peretz is, you should know who he is. He's a great guy. He is at All Star Charts on Twitter. Huge name in the FinTwit community. I would argue that if you don't know who he is and you are in the FinTwit community, you are not actually in the FinTwit community. We're going to be hanging out with him tomorrow night, 8 p.m., right here on YouTube. He's going to be doing chart requests for you guys. Come in with names that you want him to look at. This dude does so much research. His analysis is not just technical. His analysis is very much fundamental as well. Super bright guy. I cannot wait to hang out with him. So again, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube with JC Peretz. Come join us. Anybody can come hang out. We'll be here for about an hour, and we'll be reviewing the charts that you guys vote on. So come hang out. Come vote. And again, thank you all for being here. Xander, George, 9K, B's Mom, Drip James, who else? Che, David Tran, David Magnuson. Thank you guys all for being here. I really do appreciate it. NASCAR All Out. You guys are great. We will be back next week. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Trade them well, and we'll see you next time.